Welcome in, everybody. Football Friday. You're excited, and so are we. Because Michigan is undefeated. They're looking to go 7-0, and we are pleased to. This has become a regular thing. Former Wolverine Jerry Diorio is with us. Jerry, it's great to see you. And like last week, you're not just sitting at home. You're out and about.
Where's Diorio instead of where's Waldo, huh? Is that going to be the new thing?
Well, last week you were in Georgia. Where are you at now?
Right now I'm across from the Renaissance Center, getting ready to go to the Eagles concert tonight. And Steely Dan was supposed to play, but they had some kind of illness, so they're backing out. And I think Steve Miller is going to take his place. Steve Miller is going to take Steely Dan's place. So excited to go downtown Detroit, and watch the Eagles perform tonight. And I'll tell you right now, Denny, downtown Detroit, it's pretty good, especially considered when you look at all these other cities all over the place. Detroit's pretty good. I really enjoyed being downtown Detroit.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they've spruced it up, over the last few years, and Campus Martius and like where you're at, where the Renaissance Center. I don't know how many people, but right out back there, they've got like the river walk where you can there's a nice mile or two back and forth to get over there. And so, I mean, there's some nice pockets around there. Hopefully it just keeps elevating up. Yeah.
My family and I were here a couple years ago when Western played in the in Ford Field in the bowl game. And really, we couldn't believe how nice it was. Detroit, they've really done some nice things with parts of Detroit. I know there's other parts that aren't so great, but downtown Detroit represents itself really well.
No, that's like every city. I'm a little surprised. One, I didn't even know that Eagles were back and touring, and I'm sure they'll say something about Glenn Fry because he's from Southeast Michigan. You probably know that. He passed away a few years ago, but man, if you got Walsh and Henley there, I mean, you're still doing pretty good. The surprising part to me is that when you get a cancellation and you're telling me Steve Miller is, backing up for the backups or the twin bill, that's a pretty good backup.
We saw Steve Miller a few years ago, and I've got high hopes with him performing tonight, and that's pretty quick backup.
I'm with you. Now, Jerry, we're going to talk some football. It's nice to, hear that you're out there and, you're getting ready to – you got to do something before tomorrow's games. Now, last week you were down in Athens, Georgia, between the hedges to see Georgia host Kentucky. And Georgia was very impressive by all accounts. I watched the first quarter. They look really good. Well, that's the part that I was watching. They played really well. The question to you is that if Michigan and Georgia, let's say, played in the college football semifinal January 1st, 2024 in the Rose Bowl, that's one half of the semifinal. Great place. Boy, Michigan at the Rose Bowl against Georgia. I'll take that right now. What do you think of that game halfway through? What would your thoughts be about Michigan taking on Georgia?
Well, obviously both teams are very sound. I think Kentucky hurt themselves a lot last week with penalties, especially in the first three drives. Both times Kentucky moved the ball down the field. And before the game, I talked to Mark Stoops and Mike Stoops. We had a nice conversation, and I told him, I said, their defensive line doesn't seem like it has been as dominant in the past as it has been in the past. And I said, when I looked at Georgia the last 2 years, when they put their helmet on you, you went down. They made tackles in the open field. They were a sure tackling team. And I didn't see that against Auburn when Georgia played Auburn. When I watched the film against with Georgia and Auburn, I didn't see that. I saw missed tackles. When I was talking to Mark and Mike, they reassured me that Smart was going to put the foot down on the pedal, and when he's at home, he's hard to beat. And sure enough, that's kind of what happened. And like I said, I think if we take a couple of those penalties out of there, it might be a different game. Who's going to win the Georgia-Michigan game? Let's hope it happens, first of all. Let's hope this happens, first of all. I think it can happen. right now, two very sound teams. In my opinion, I think we have more depth at all positions across.
That's when you think about how Georgia is recruited. I'll take your word for that. I think 2 years ago, it was pretty clear. I mean, Georgia, beat Michigan pretty handy, 34-11 in the Orange Bowl. And I thought the talent discrepancy, you could see it. I think if they would have played last year, if Michigan would have beat TCU, I think that would have been a closer game. I still think that Georgia would have been they would have been the favorite, and the talent. But I think now, whether it's neck and neck or the Michigan's elevated, watching game number 2 this season, that was against UNLV. It was on CBS. Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson, because how the networks work now, they, for the last, 20 years, they've been doing mostly just SEC games. And it was Nessler who saw Kenneth Grant, and then he saw Mason Graham, and he remarked on the broadcast, these guys, Gary, look like SEC defensive tackles. And Gary said, you are right. They look like Georgia. And, you're talking about, Jordan Davis, and then the number 1 pick last year, they're all playing for the Philadelphia. Yeah, this is, where Michigan's sitting right now. Those guys inside, they have that kind of, they've got those SEC, they got an SEC offensive line, the SEC defensive line. Michigan is, I think they're better than they have been the last 2 years. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to be back to the college football playoff, but they, I think they are better, like you're talking about.
Well, Denny, it's kind of funny how we both are mentioning the defensive lines right off the bat. Who was the kid a couple years ago? It was 360, and then you had Carter last year. When I remember when Michigan went out on the coin toss, I knew we were in trouble because this kid dwarfed our center, and I knew we were going to have our hands full. They were a big physical team. Later on in this video, I think we're going to show. I think I'm going to show a video of Graham, and he is literally taking a 6'7", 335-pound offensive guard and putting him 4 yards in the backfield, just destroying a play. And that's where I'm saying I think Michigan up front defensively, especially at those two positions, Graham and Grant, I'm hard pressed to have a better combo in the country. And I don't know if there's a better player than Graham at that position in the country. And, we're pretty good up front defensively. We are very good up front.
And Jim Harbaugh last year had mentioned both of those guys that they were true freshmen. It was surprising that Mason Graham in fall camp rose to the top, and he was a starter from game 1. That's almost unheard of. And then Harbaugh commenting on Graham and Grant said they're a gift from the football gods. Everybody laughed a little bit, but, I think he was right. He continues saying that. All right, Jerry, I do want to give a shout out. And I don't know if you have anything that you want to shout out there, but Jason has, been dealing with a health issue. And he says, thanks to all the well wishes and for everybody else. And, we are sending, positive vibes down there. He's down there in the Peach State. So glad to hear that he's on the mend. What about you, Jerry? You got anything you wanted to say?
Well, first of all, Jason, thoughts and prayers are with you. Get well. And if there's anything we can do, please let us know. I did want to give a shout out, though, to Dan's Downtown Tavern in Saline. I believe that's the way they pronounce it. All my buddies and some of my former coaches are meeting right there, and they might have this podcast on. I want to say hello to Mike Lemeron, who started this monthly gathering, and I know Jeff Cohen and Rich Stringer and Rich Hewlett is there, and might be Wangler down there, Brad Fisher, and then some of the coaches. Jack Carball's actually there with Denny Brown and Paul Shadell, my old offensive line coach, Paul Shadell. So we want to give you a shout out down there in Dan's Downtown Tavern in Saline.
I can tell you this: if those guys have the podcast on, they're not watching because you can't get a word in edgewise with all those guys down there. Especially Hewlett. And if Wangler's there, no chance for sure. All right, that's all good stuff. Now, let's tell everyone what we're going to be talking about. People are pretty good at guessing, and you can go out there and guess. We're going to talk about Michigan. What more do you want to see from Michigan, the number 2 team in the country, looking to go 7-0 tomorrow? What more do you want to see from Michigan? We'll put that question to Jerry straight ahead. You can start thinking about that yourself. Jerry has some film analysis of not only the Gophers from last week, but he'll look to tomorrow and the Hoosiers and what they might do. But yeah, let's start with this game tomorrow. Michigan and Indiana. And if you've been looking, if you're watching this on the chat, if you've been paying attention, that one of the big parts of this game, P. Maximus is saying is the rain. It's supposed to be steady, and he says he hates the rain. As of a few minutes ago when I looked, 100% chance of rain. It's going to start early, and it's just going to continue throughout the day. So, yeah, we're expecting rain the entire time. Jerry, how's that affecting the game plan if you're Michigan? Obviously, both teams know about this. This is not going to be a secret to anyone. Michigan in the rain against IU. What do you expect?
Well, I mean, we're kind of built for it, to be honest with you. We run the ball well. We put the ball in between the tackles and tight ends, and that's the strength of our team. So as far as rain and sloppy field conditions and that sort of thing, I like Michigan's chances because of what we are and what we do. And so, yeah, it's going to be nasty. Yeah, it's going to be probably an ugly game. But I think if there's rain, it favors Michigan. What do I want to see Michigan improve on? And Denny, you and I were talking earlier, and you made a great point. There's no perfect game. There's no perfect season. Absolutely. And I think that's what I want to see more than anything. Coach Lloyd Carr used to always say, you get better or you get worse, but you never stay the same. And what I want to see, stay healthy. Number one, stay healthy. I want to see us keep improving on what we're doing. What I really like seeing this year so far is how soon we're getting our substitutes in the game. We are playing a ton of people early. I don't know. I think it's like 3 or 4 games in a row, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It might have been all 6. You can sit there and see that Michigan is substituting a large amount of players in the third quarter, and that doesn't happen. And for all the talk about Michigan not playing a schedule and having an easy schedule, I'm going to take a look at some things in here in this with this Minnesota game, and I'm going to show you Big Ten teams have Big Ten talented players, and I don't care what you're talking about and what you're saying as far as teams and stuff. Some of my toughest players I went against were against Mark Brown, who was at Purdue, and I think they were 2-9. Who was the other one that I mentioned? Tim Crumry was at Wisconsin. They were never a great team. Carl Mecklenburg, another kid out of Minnesota who played several years Pro Bowl in the NFL, played at Minnesota. We played against them. They might have been 2-9, 3-8, something like that. But those are the kinds of players that Big Ten teams get. They might not have across the board, but you're going to play great players week in and week out, and players that can hurt you. And that's why you see upsets in the Big Ten, and you have to be ready every week. Once you start getting complacent, once you start thinking and reading the papers, that's when you get in trouble. We have to get better every week. Let's stay healthy. Let's stay consistently getting better every week. That's what I want to see. Just that focus, that consistency of getting better.
Jerry, I can tell you're a former coach, 24 hours out or whatever else, you seem like you've elevated it up. You're kind of getting everybody fired up, and it's good for a podcast, certainly. So we do appreciate that. As always, we welcome your feedback and your questions. Jason has one specifically going right to you, Jerry. He says, if you could go back to 83, standing 6'4", weighing 235 pounds, and you were in this week's locker room versus Indiana, and the head coach looks at you for the pregame speech, what do you say?
I don't know if I can put it on here right now, Denny. I'm always you're talking about me before the game. Not good words. Not good words. We're going out. We're going to kick some butt, and we're going to get after you. And let's go, guys. We got this game to win. Let's go get them. Let's get after them.
I'm there. I'm
knocking a couple people in the head and stuff. So let's go.
All the things that you're saying, I like, a continuation of how Michigan's playing, emptying the bench, solid play all around, what all the things that you had to say. But, I'm going to go with Sam and what he's saying right here. He says a shutout. That would be nice. UNLV got a touchdown. Rutgers got that one right off the bat. And then Nebraska got one late. I think that would, whatever the schedule is and whoever you're playing, you put a 0 over there, you put a big number out, you can only go out there and take your opponent and smash them like a bug. And, if Michigan goes out there and, wins the game 45-0, having that 0 over there, I'm hoping for a 0 myself. So, that's what I would like to see more.
Shutouts are always nice. You love seeing those. The defense loves seeing those. I guarantee you those starters on defense let the replacements know about those touchdowns late, and so they're pushing them to get better. But today's offenses nowadays, Denny, these guys they're it's hard to keep people out of the end zone, and I think Michigan is come as close as you're going to get shutting people out and doing those kinds of things. Let's win. Let's stay healthy, and let's keep getting better.
A little bit of an interesting twist for Indiana. Mark asking about over or under 175 yards offense. Indiana, they had a bye week last week. They have a new offensive coordinator since they last played. And so a brand new offensive coordinator this far into the season, and they've already given him a contract. This is not like an interim type deal. And this is coming off of playing at Maryland, back in the last day.
2 weeks ago, yes.
So, you're going to have some wrinkles for Michigan. And, this is a little bit, you can't make wholesale changes in what you're doing. I saw Mike Elston, he was asked about it and said, hey, what do you expect? He's like, we'll look at what they've been doing. He said it'd be more difficult, to come up with all brand new stuff than, it would be, for the element of surprise, for Michigan. So they'll be able to deal with that. But the rain and a new offensive coordinator, at least something to think about over the next 24 hours.
Well, like I said earlier, Denny, these teams have great talent. It might not be as much as Michigan, might not be as deep as Michigan and the Georgias and that sort of thing, but they have talent. And Indiana's got this young man by the name of Jalen Lucas. He might be the fastest kid on the field that day. This Saturday, we might be playing the fastest kid on the field. And he's got speed, and he can break it. He almost broke one a kickoff return against Maryland. They're trying to get him the ball in space, and when he's in space, he's dangerous, and we've got to be ready for him. The quarterback situation in Indiana was pretty much shut out by Maryland after the first quarter. They came back with a young man from Dallas, Texas, I believe he's from, at quarterback, and he led him for two touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And quick release, good arm. He's a freshman. He's going to make mistakes. But I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana doesn't make a quarterback change this week and comes in with the freshman.
Ooh. I'm with you on Jalen Lucas. He jumps out. If you watched Indiana at all last year, he was a preseason All-American kick returner. They're using him at running back now. And against Ohio State, the first game of the year, he looked like he was one of the better players on the field. GC is saying Indiana probably spent their bye week on weird gadget plays that won't work in the rain. And there's a few, I was looking at some of the numbers here, but, Sam looking at the NCAA numbers for IU, not great. Total offense, 109th, scoring offense, 111th, rushing 113th. That's why they made the change at offensive coordinator. So yeah, I don't think this is the time where they think they're gonna, be able to, put up 30 on Michigan or something. But it's at least something to.
My old high school coach, who was a legend, used to always tell us teams that run those trick plays don't believe in their own system. And, Michigan sprinkles in trick plays, but they're off of our system. And you have to respect those system plays first, and then we hit them with the flea flickers and that sort of thing. But I think Indiana, their best way of spending the last 2 weeks is trying to get their kids better at what they do and concentrate on their system and their systems, as opposed to putting, you might have a wrinkle here or there, a trick play here or there, but you're not going to make a living running trick plays, especially against this Michigan defense.
All right, Jerry,
that could go the other way too.
Sorry about that. Before we get to the film, you said you played for a legend at Cardinal Mooney. I mean, who are we talking about here?
My head coach was Don Butchie, and he actually played at Notre Dame. He was a quarterback at Notre Dame. The defensive coordinator was Ron Stoops Sr. God rest both of their souls. I loved them both. They were great, great men. And, be honest with you, Denny, you're looking at one of the luckiest guys you'll ever see. I was born at the right time in the right place with the right people involved. I'm a product of some of the great, great minds in high school and college football of all time. And I'm just very blessed and blessed to have had those people in my life.
So Ron Stoops, in relation to Bob Stoops at Northeast Ohio, that all seems like they could
Dad.
Be a relationship there. Dad.
In fact, Ron Stoops, he died in the basically on the way to the hospital from the press box, and he was playing his son Ron Jr. at Boardman High School, and the funeral. Hayden Fry, during the middle of the week, going against Michigan, came down and made the visitation to Ron Stoops' funeral, which that says something. That says something. And they actually tied Michigan that game. And Mark was on the field.
Wow. Sit here and talk football all day. All right, you ready to look at some film?
Absolutely. Denny, we on?
Well, I want to thank Quick Cut Video and Analytics for this video. And with that, we are on.
All right. Denny, I'm going to take care of this first play right here. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to spend some time on this play, because it's near and dear to my heart. This coverage is called Palms. It has a lot of roots to the Northeastern Ohio. When you look it up, you'll see Nick Saban and Bill Belichick's name there. And the next name you'll see is Bob Stoops, Jr., or Bob Stoops, the former coach at the University of Oklahoma. I remember being at the Cardinal Mooney football camps, talking to Bobby, talking to Mike, talking to Bo Pelini, talking to DJ Durkin. All these Youngstown, Ohio coaches, they were utilizing this coverage way back in the late 1980s, early 1990s. Why am I mentioning this? Where is Steve Clinkscale from? Youngstown, Ohio, Cheney product. This is what you call Palms coverage. What it is geared on is, number one, the key on the number two receiver. Both eyes, the safety and the corner, are both keying the number two receiver. Whatever the number two receiver does tells these two what they should do. Now, when I use this, people used to say, well, he's running a man coverage. Some would say, no, he's running a zone coverage. It's a combination. When number two goes vertical, the corner carries number one. He stays with number one. When number two crosses, the corner stays on number one. The safety rolls. When number two goes out, corner sits on the out, safety goes over the top to cover number one. Is that making sense so far, Denny?
Yeah, a choice defense. I didn't even realize that there was such a thing. So it's intriguing.
In fact, Brent Venables used this, and I believe he scored a touchdown against Alabama on the first play, or took it back to about the 10-yard line. This is a very, very effective coverage. It's very easy to disguise. When I was looking it up, because I wanted to make sure my history isn't faulty, I looked up and there was a guy, Coach Wiles out of St. Augustine, Florida, who credited Bobby Stoops with it. And what he said about this coverage is it can go against anything. Here, it's perfect against two, but there's actually a third receiver on this side. So we're utilizing this Palms coverage with three receivers. The outside linebacker, he helps with this coverage because he's going to take any kind of hook, slant, curl route away. So right now, the quarterback cannot – it gives the defensive backs time to settle into their key, to see what the receiver is doing. That linebacker is vitally important to get into this area. If number two were to go out, his eyes would go right now to number one with any kind of a slant or crossing pattern. So we have the underneath covered. We have the deep covered. We have the cross covered. And we have this safety over here waiting for the cross. And we have a corner that can sit on and out or carry number one. The beauty of our defense is we've got a couple of corners that can do this very, very effectively. We used to disguise it with our corners walked up on man coverage, making it look like man coverage. Now the quarterback doesn't know what's the defense doing. Are they in zone? Are they in man? This right here looks like a soft cover two, if not cover four. And I know that's what the quarterback is looking at. He's looking at this pre-snap read here, and he's thinking, this is a soft four. I'm going to hit this quick out. What happens? Johnson sits on the route. Right there, the receiver turns out, and there's Johnson right there for the pick. Look at where the outside linebacker is. He's right in that hook curl area. And there's Johnson. Let's look at the free safety. Now, we always used to tell our corners, don't let that receiver outside you because it's a big, big space for this guy to cover. So we always used to try to funnel him inside. Michigan, it seems like we're a little bit better than that. We let him outside. Our safety covers it, and we still get the pick. But I believe this is a Steve Klinkscale implementation of the Palms coverage that he got from his buddies in Youngstown, Ohio. And by the way, he was the coach. He was a defensive back coach at Kentucky with Mark Stoops for the last 4 years. So fortunate to have him. Nothing but good here. Nothing but good. Anybody have a problem with Coach Harbaugh celebrating with his players? You got a problem. You got a flat out problem. I got no problem with this. I love it. This is what coaching is all about. It's about those relationships with those kids. Obviously, those kids love our coach. Can't have it any better than that.
I like it. Hey, if they keep running this palm and have another pick six, I think Klink got to get in there.
I wonder where Klink is. Is he upstairs on the field? I'm not sure. He should have been in the picture. That's for sure.
I think he's on the field. I'm 100% sure of that.
All right. This next play is an RPO. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring Loveland in motion a little bit, and he's going to take that front side linebacker. Everybody else is blocking inside zone. They're blocking inside. These linemen don't know if it's a give or a pass. They're just coming off, and they're taking their man like it's a run. They're thinking run all the way. I think JJ makes a bad read here. But because of his arm strength and because of his quick release, he gets away with it. JJ fakes the Corum, and right now, watch JJ's feet. No wasted motion. Look at those feet. He takes 3 steps to get that ball right there now. And I'm talking he's faking to a running back and then throwing the ball. That's a quick release. It's arm strength to the max. And Wilson does a great job separating himself from the defense. He goes to where there's no defenders. Now, what JJ is reading, in my opinion, is this outside linebacker. When the outside linebacker sees Corum coming down in for that inside zone, He's kind of got to respect that, especially being Michigan. But what he does, he kind of sits there and does nothing, which gives Wilson an opportunity to make his territory wide open over here. And I just can't believe this footwork on McCarthy. This is very good. 1, 2, bang, the ball's out. 6, 7, 8-yard gain. 1, 2, 3, release. Wow. That's tough coaching, or it's real good coaching.
Yeah, he reminds me of Aaron Rodgers when he throws the ball like that.
It's unbelievable how good his foot speed. By the way, I'm going to go back to that one play. I want to show one thing here real quick. I apologize. I messed this up. This is an All-American. Zinner's an All-American, correct, Denny?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Number 65 for the University of Michigan is an All-American candidate. This young man that he's going against is a junior. He's a 3-year junior. Now, you're not going to see Zinner beat often. But I just want to point this out because this is the kind of talent that's in the Big Ten. Remember, Zinner's an All-American. Let's keep an eye on number 65. That's a pretty good punch by that kid. And he disengages Zinner pretty good. I ain't picking on Zinner. No how, no way. I think he's the best offensive lineman in the country. But this kid is pretty good too. This kid from Minnesota. And I think Zinner coming out of that game probably said to himself, that's a pretty good ball player. All right. Now, again, we got an unaccounted for player. Again, this is a Big Ten player. Blake Corum breaks most of these tackles against people in non-conference games. Watch this kid, Phil. He is man on. And these are good coaches too, by the way. They're not joke coaches. He's man on, Corum. In my opinion, I think he's man on. Watch him fill this gap. Corum most times is getting 6, 8, 10 yards. This kid comes filling up, boom, right, meets him right there at the 1 or 2 yard gain. And he puts Corum right. He tackles Corum. That's a heck of a ball play right there, football play right there by this young man. But that's the kind of talent that's in the Big Ten. Great play.
Yeah, Minnesota had a statistically pretty good defense going into the game last week.
And they're young. They're not a bad team. All right, this is what I was talking about. There's a kid by the name of Fisk down in Florida State who played at Western Michigan last 3 years, transferred to Florida State. He's pretty doggone good ball player. Georgia, has got good players inside, and so does Alabama. Watch Graham. This kid is 6'7", 335, this offensive guard from Minnesota. Watch what Graham does to him. He just bench presses him right back into the backfield for about 4 yards and just bottles up the play. That isn't coached. That's just brute strength. Him taking a big offensive lineman and just replacing him back in the backfield. In my opinion, I have not seen a better 1 technique or 3 technique in the country. That kid is special. And oh, by the way, the play before that, or a couple plays before that, they had to trip him to get him down. That kid is special. Okay, here's an inside zone. The only difference is we're going to twist this up a little bit. We're going to switch this up. We're going to block the tackle out this time and the tight end out this time and bring our wing back underneath. And very effective blocking scheme. Watch the hole open up. Look at that hole. I think I could run through that, Denny. I think I could run through this hole right here. That's getting the back 6 yards before he gets touched. Great block. Great block by Barner.
Edwards didn't dance there. He hit the hole, didn't he?
I got no problem with Edwards. I got no problem at all with Edwards. I would have liked to seen him run through that a little bit better, but I got no problem with Edwards. He's a very gifted ball player. We're lucky to have him.
I agree.
We're lucky to have him. All right. Now Minnesota's just made a great play, and like you said, Denny, this is a pretty good defensive team statistically so far this season. Let's look. We're in the third quarter. We're only up 2 touchdowns. We're only up 24-10, and it's 1st and 10, and we're going to throw the ball. We're gonna throw the ball on 1st and 10. That's a gamble. I don't care what anybody says. That's a gamble because if you miss this play, you're 2nd and 10. So throwing the ball, it's easy to say, let's throw the ball more on 1st and 10 and in those downs. Again, that's risky. But this is a phenomenal route, but a great block by Corum. Watch this block by Corum. He just decleats this blitzing guy right here. This blitzing guy coming off the corner. We're going to fake the Corum, and he's going to just decleat this kid. Watch. Boom.
Oh.
Boom. The route on top is beautiful because it just clears out everybody. It clears out, and we're lucky because they are blitzing. So we catch them in a blitz here, but the 2 verticals take the DBs out, which leaves Mason wide open. Who's going to cover Mason? They're asking the middle linebacker when they're blitzing the outside linebacker to cover one of the best receivers in the country. All I can say to that is good luck. I don't think that's going to happen too often. You're not going to make hay doing that too often. Wide open, great route, great protection, phenomenal job. Again, unaccounted for player. Remember, last week we were playing Nebraska, and I kept harping on the C-gap player not being in position. They never had a C-gap player, and we just destroyed their off tackle. Here we're sitting in an unbalanced line. 2 over here, tight ends covered, and I think that's Wilson, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 in the backfield. I got to believe Mullins is looking at this and saying, touchdown city. What's my celebration going to be in the end zone? What am I going to do in the end zone? Watch this kid make a phenomenal play coming underneath. And I got to believe this is coached. I got to believe this is something that they said, when you see an unbalanced line like that, and Bredesen goes in motion, start thinking about coming underneath. Watch the hole develop and watch how quickly it closes. That's amazing. That's a truly a phenomenal play right there by number 13. I got to believe Mullins is thinking, look at, we got Zenner on a freaking free safety. I mean, if Mullins isn't licking his chops right now, I know I would be. But this kid makes a heck of a play. And I got to believe that's part of coaching as well. Did
it with his arms as well.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, he got his arms around him.
Absolutely. Okay. I believe this is our second group. Yeah, here we are. We're 25 seconds left to go in the third quarter, and we got our seconds in. This is great. These guys practice all year long. They play all year long, and they're finally getting in. They're getting their chances of playing. But how great is that to know that when I go to practice, there's a good chance I can play in the game. I don't care who I'm replacing Zenner. I don't care. There's a good chance I'm going to get to play in the game. And just that's really great stuff. I see Giovanni Haughty, Jeff Piercy, Greg Crippen, Miles Hinton, all guys. Trente Jones is in there. He's wearing his number 53 again. Khalil Mullins, all these guys playing. Samaj Morgan comes in a little bit later. These guys are all getting their chance to play, and that's a great thing. Oh, here's the other thing I wanted to mention. This is Bredesen at tight end. Now, normally he lines up in a fullback position. Here's Bredesen in the tight end. Here's Barner at a wing. Normally, I would think that they would be switched. Watch Bredesen's block here. This is called a pancake. Boom. Keeps his feet moving and just drives him into the turf. That's a phenomenal, phenomenal block. Barner comes underneath, and those guys, they're saying, yeah, buddy, let's go. We got 6. We're going to get 6 more again. They're just running their feet and driving. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Jerry, did they call them decleters or pancakes back when you were playing? I mean, did they those two terms are those new terms, or were you guys calling them decleters and pancakes back in the day as well?
I think those were called supposed tos. Like Bo would say, "You're supposed to do that."
Oh, okay, all right.
Dell would say, "You're supposed to do that." Elliot Uselak would say, "You're supposed to do that." Hanlon would say, "You're supposed to do that." What do you want? You want a present? You're supposed to do that. Denny, that's all I got on Michigan, Minnesota. I want to pull up here some Indiana, if you don't mind.
I don't. I want to thank Quick Cut for the video and analytics. And, Jerry, I want to tell everyone, you're out there. Michigan's midway through what could be a very special season. You think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. Jerry thinks it's going to happen. Why not get as much coverage as you can? How do you do that? You join the Maize and Blue Review today. Hey, maybe somebody that is your friend is a big Maize and Blue fan, and you throw them the gift of the Maize and Blue Review. They'll love you. You think they want 24 golf balls, or they want all day, all night coverage around the clock talking about Michigan and what could be a championship season? You know the answer there. Just give us a shot. Go to michigan.rivals.com. Join the Maize and Blue Review today. That's how you get it done. All right, Jerry, we are now looking at some film of Indiana in their last game. Remember, they had a bye last week, and this is the Hoosiers against the Terps.
Okay, Denny, on this first play, Indiana's in cover 3. Now, they have a young secondary. Their front is pretty good, pretty experienced. Their linebackers have some experience, but their secondary is very young. And it almost seems like they're saying, let's settle with just cover 3 and stay with it, because cover 3 is going to get killed with these 2 receivers out here. Indiana's expecting their outside linebacker to run with one of these receivers, which is not going to happen. I think this outside linebacker is expecting some help from a safety. Whatever. Indiana's secondary is very inexperienced, and this is the kind of stuff that can happen. This is a cover 3. There's no combo here. There's no 2 for 2. And all this is a wheel route. The safety is way too far. He's in the middle of the field. There's no way he's going to be able to get over here and cover this. And I think when Indiana goes back into their film room, they're going to see this as a major problem and probably start to gear these guys more towards the 2 receiver side. But it's a wide open wheel route.
Ooh.
Tagovailoa hits it, and that's that. So Indiana has some they got some problems with their inexperience in the secondary, and I don't know how much that's going to be a factor tomorrow with the rain, but they do have some issues in the secondary. All right, this is Jalen Lucas, and I got him highlighted here a couple times. This kid has got speed. He might be the fastest kid on the field. Dangerous. The announcer said he weighs probably about 130 pounds. And there he is, sneaking through there. When you see the back end, you're going to see 2 guys at the point of attack have a shot at him. 1. Misses. 2, 3. He runs right through the third man's hole and just exploits it. And now he's off. This kid is dangerous. And if we let him have space, he could hurt us. This kid is good. Probably going to play. You might see him on Sundays.
Well, shades of Rondell Moore, the former Purdue wide receiver.
All right. Indiana seems like they ran the ball pretty well against Maryland. Here's their version of the inside zone. The tackle, instead of staying on his path and just coming down or picking up a linebacker, he kind of turns back out. And so now you have two guys blocking one. And I think this play could have been a little bit more effective had that tackle just continued on his path. But, like I said, this is a good running team. There's 8 yards right there on a simple inside zone. So they have the ability to run the ball. All right. Let's see what okay. Now, this kind of scares me, to be honest with you. They bring Lucas in motion. And when he comes in motion, he's going to end up in what is known as a pistol formation. He's going to end up right behind the quarterback. And the wrinkle that I could see Indiana putting in is running the option back out this side. Because watch this linebacker come in. Once he sees the motion of Lucas, he comes back into play. He is no longer a factor out here. He just settles right now into this inside zone area. The outside man, the defensive end, he kind of turns his shoulders, so he is no help on this option. But they just run a simple inside zone, and they pick, nice run here. Look at how his shoulders are turned. Now imagine if they're running option out here with Lucas. You got 2 blockers on 2. If that quarterback, if he's got the ball and he pitches to Lucas, it's trouble. It's trouble. As it is, they run an inside zone. This kid's a good running back. 5, 6 yards. They can run the ball.
Account 22 doesn't think so.
I'm sorry?
Account 22, he says IU averaging 84 rushing yards a game. So we'll see if
all right.
Able to slam the door.
Let's hope he's right. Let's hope he's right and I'm wrong. How's that?
Yeah.
Now, Indiana is third in the Big Ten on third down defense. In other words, they're getting off the field on third down, and that's defense. That's good defense right there. This time. Now, one of the things I've seen with Indiana is they love playing their corners, their DBs up on these receivers, especially in these short third down scenarios. And Maryland does a nice job getting the first down, but not by much. This cornerback is all over it. Pretty good play there. All right. Now, I remember Coach Harbaugh running this 2-deep beater when he was at Stanford with Andrew Luck and I can't remember the tight end's name. Anyways, this is a 2-deep beater.
Toby Fleener.
Fleener. There you go. Great job, Denny. There you go. This is a 2-deep beater. They're going to pull this safety out of the box with this empty formation. What they're going to do is they're going to send these 2 down the field, vertical. Number 1's going to go to the corner, which is going to pull this free safety with them, which opens wide open the middle of the field for this 2-deep beater. We use this very effectively when I was coaching. In fact, believe it or not, Denny, I threw the ball with 95 yards in front of us and scored a touchdown against Catholic Central. But that's what that does. That 2-deep beater right there, very effective pattern. That safety is in a real conflict there. And the middle of the field is wide open. I'm waiting to see us do that a little bit. I want to see that because I remember Coach Harbaugh using that at Stanford, and that was very effective. Again, what they want to do, they want to get the ball to Lucas in space. Here they are. They're going to fake the inside zone here, and they're going to just run Lucas right out here in a flat pattern, just like we did with Donovan Edwards. And you're going to see there's 3 guys right there. They all have pretty good angles. And Lucas just outruns him. This kid is good. This kid is dangerous. He's good.
Yeah, he's their threat. I'm with you on that.
All right, number 2, Tavon Jackson is mobile. His number 1, his receiver that he looks to go to a lot is McCauley. Number 1, McCauley. He's a big boy. I think he's 6'4", 6'5", 200 pounds. So they've got some weapons. They've got some weapons. Here's the mobility. And that's pretty good arm strength right there. Not bad at all. This is the young man from Texas. This is his 2nd touchdown. Brendan Sorsby came in, led Indiana to 2 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. This is a very nice pattern. Very nice pass he makes right here. Pretty good protection. And, I mean, that ball is out quick. You can see that. That ball is out quick. Another one. Very efficient with his footwork. 2 steps. Boom, boom. Ball's out.
That's going to be Will Johnson over there. He's going to turn and locate that ball. Hopefully.
I guarantee he will. There's Coach. He's probably thinking, what the heck am I going to do with quarterback next week? But kid's good. He's a freshman. Big boy. 6'5", I believe he is. 210 or 215. He's got some arm strength, some quickness. So that's all I got right now for film work, Denny.
I like it. I think Michigan's going to win the game 45-9. I think they'll cover that 34 points. Jerry, what kind of score are you looking at?
Well, you got the rain, Denny. I mean,
it's tough
I hate predicting Michigan on spreads, especially this big. Anything can happen in a Big Ten game. I'm not saying Indiana's going to win or anything like that, but those are a lot of points. Now, I did hear just recently from somebody that was a very good source said always take the points and the under. I don't know what that means, but oh well.
Well, Jerry, enjoy the Eagles tonight. The last time, I think, with Walsh and Henley. And if we could do so, Roman Wilson will have life in the fast lane tomorrow. And as Michigan is running up another score in the 4th quarter, they can whisper over to the Hoosier players that it's going to be heartbreak tonight.
There you go. Nice one, Danny. I love this segue there.
All right. Enjoy the concert tonight and the game tomorrow. We'll talk with you next week.
Hail to the victors, Denny.
There he is, Jerry